Hello friends, Heather here, and it's going to be Mother's Day next month, and I thought I would go ahead and do another free Mother's Day tutorial. So this is my third year of doing a free collage sheet for Mother's Day, and this year my collage sheet is going to help you create this lovely little canvas, which I'm going to do a tutorial on, as well as a beautiful card, which will take you like under 10 minutes to make because I wanted to make sure it was super simple yet elegant. So these are the two projects that I'm going to be sharing with you this year for Mother's Day. And here is the collage sheet. I started out with some images from Karen at the Graphic Fairy. So I have this lovely mother with her baby and little girl here, and you'll notice there's even a little cat with its mama up there in the right. And then like some ledger paper, which is also from her site. And then I have this adorable little image down here, which says, wishing you a happy new year. And I left the wording on this just so that you could use it for New Year's if you wanted, but we're going to be covering up with items here on our cards so you won't even see them. All right, and then I just have another piece of the ledger paper. And I already have the images sized so they will fit. We're going to use this image here and this image and then one of the words for our canvas, and then these two images and a word as well for a card. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out my pieces and I will be right back. All right, I am back and I cut out my pieces, and I just wanted to show you that I tore the edges on my piece of paper here for my background, and all I'm doing is taking and just tearing the edge off like this, only so that it'll have a little bit more interest in the piece, create like a little bit more texture, and you're not just having a flat background. So you just will want to tear your piece so that it will fit onto your canvas. So there we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply this to my canvas using some Mod Podge, and I had the Antique Matte Mod Podge, but we're going to antique this when we're done, so it doesn't really matter if you have the antique color or if you just had the plain color. I'm going to go ahead and just put a bunch of Mod Podge on my canvas itself, and this is how I'm going to apply all the images will be with Mod Podge. So I have a whole bunch here. All right, and then I'm just gonna put my piece on, give it a little smoosh down, and then I'm gonna cover it too with the Mod Podge. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish doing this and then let it dry, and we'll move on to the next step. All right, I applied my Mod Podge to the pink paint and I dried it, and now I am just brushing on some of the white color just so it's not a solid pink. And I'm not doing anything fancy, I'm just slapping it on there. So I'm adding water to my brush so it's kind of watery, and I'm getting some paint and I'm not pressing too hard because I don't want to get a full coverage. I just want it to have kind of a nice, I don't know, so it looks like it's multiple layers. This is what will create depth in your work, is by just adding layers of paint. So it'll look like you spent a lot of time on it, and really you haven't spent that much time. All right, so we're going to let this dry and then we'll be good to go. Maybe I'll just add a little here and there to the front, but you don't have to if you don't want to. I'm just kind of putting it here and there, and I'm just barely letting my brush hit the surface, and it's kind of dry now too. So there we go. I'll be right back after I dry this. All right, now we're going to add a little bit of paint to our project. I have some vintage white and baby pink from Folk Art Paints. I really like this brand of paint. It's nice and thick, great pigment inks for painting with. All right, I have gone ahead and just put some of both onto a paper plate, and I'm going to take my brush, my large brush here, and just grab some of the creamy color, and I'm going to base coat all of my edges with this. And it's a little runny, which is fine because it covers fast. And I'm also going to do this kind of on the front. And I'm just going to kind of mash it around here, nothing fancy, just so that I get my edges covered, and then just it adds a little texture to the piece as well. All right, so I'm going to let this dry, and I'm going to do the rest of the sides, and I will be right back. Okay, I went ahead and painted my edges pink, and I just did all 4 sides in pink. I let that dry, and then I applied a coat of Mod Podge. And the reason I put the Mod Podge on is because we'll be painting the leaves on and the roses on, and if you make a mistake, it's much easier to clean them off if you have the Mod Podge layer there. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and add some Mod Podge to the front as well. And we're going to be adding our image, our focal image. So I'm just going to cover this with the Mod Podge. And I'm going to set this down, and I'm going to set my image just slightly off center. About right here, looks good. And then I'm going to cover her with some Mod Podge so she stays nice and attached to our piece. All right, so I'm going to let that dry, and then we'll start the next step. All right, I thought we'd go ahead and practice painting some leaves. So I have the classic green folk art paint here, and I have a number 8 flat brush by Donna Dewberry. I've gone ahead and just did a couple for fun leaves here already in a fresh foliage, but I'm going to go ahead and use this green here because this is the one we're going to use on our project. So you'll just want to add a little bit of water to your brush, and then load your brush with paint. All right, we're going to start on the chisel edge, which is the tip of the brush. So you're just going to set that down. So you'll see how I have that little line there. And what we're going to do is we're going to mash down, and as I am pulling my brush to the right, I am going to be twisting my brush and lifting it at the same time. And that is what will give you the leaf. So if you look at my thumb here, you'll see that it's going to roll. So my brush will go from one angle and roll to almost like a T. So it's like it'll start out this way, straight, and it'll end like this. So let's do another. I'm going to put it down, and I'm going to mash, and as I'm twisting, pulling, and lifting, I rotate my brush. And it's just a really simple little move with your thumb. So push down, mash, lift, twist, push down, twist, and lift, push down, twist, and lift. All right, now I like to paint my leaves in groupings of 3. So in order for you to do that on your project, what we're going to do simply is you'll just turn your piece one way, you'll make a leaf, and then you'll slightly turn it, make another leaf, turn it again so you're back in the center, and make a 3rd leaf. And that's just so it's easier for you, because turning your piece is much easier in the beginning than trying to learn how to curve your brush different ways in the beginning. So let's go ahead and add a set of leaves here to our piece. And I'm just going to put, let's see, I think I'll go here and here, and then one over here. Okay, so that's my first 3. I'm going to go ahead and add some more, and then I will be right back. All right, while your leaves are drying, I thought we'd go ahead and show you how to do the rose buds. I've added some lipstick red paint here on my plate, and I still have the baby pink, and I still have some of the white. But I'm just going to use the lipstick red and the baby pink. And I have the same brush that I used the last time. So all we're going to do is take one corner of our brush and dip that so that we have what we call a corner load here of the lipstick red paint. Let's see if my camera will focus. There we go. And now we're going to take the other half of our brush, the other corner, and we're going to load on the pink. So now you're going to have a brush that looks like this. If it focuses, maybe, maybe not. All right, I guess that's enough time to spin. There we go. All right, I'm just going to blend this over here on the side. And it's kind of, you just mash the two colors together, but you don't want them to run all the way together. So I'm going to grab a little more pink, a little more red, and I'm just going to do this till I have what I feel is good coverage, which this seems pretty good. Because I'm underneath the lights here, my paint has kind of dried out pretty quick, and it dries much faster than it would if I was painting without the lights. All right, now to make a rose bud, all we're going to do is start our brush on the chisel again, so straight up and down, so you kind of have like two lines like this. And I have the pink facing up and the red is facing toward me, so down. All you're going to do is kind of make a U shape like that. So you have your chisel, you're going to kind of mash it, bring it up, and then lift as you're pulling the chisel back towards you. You're going to want to get a little more paint and do the same blending and just kind of practice the stroke here. So you start on the chisel, mash, pushing up, and then lift your brush and pull your chisel down. All right, and that's like the open top part of your rose there. So now to close it, I'm just going to add some more paint to your brush. And then you're going to come and you're going to start right where you did the first time. So on the same little mark. And this time you're just going to close it by mashing down. So you're going to do like a U. Let me get some more paint. Oops, I got the wrong color. Not that it really matters, but here we go. So you're going to start here, pull down, mash, and then pull back up. So it's kind of like a C stroke if you think of it going this way, where you're on your tip, mash, and then come back to the chisel edge of your brush. All right, now another way to do these, kind of like just a little cheater way, works just as good. I'm just going to load all pink on my brush here. It's a little dirty pink, but that's okay. Just adds interest. And you can just make two swipes with your brush so that they're about the same size. And you kind of want it to be about the width of two of your brushes. So you're just kind of slightly overlapping. All right, and then we're gonna let this dry so I can show you the next step. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do these little cheater ones here on the piece so you can kind of see where I'm gonna go for placement. You'll see here I have my greenery already on, my leaves anyway. So now I'm going to go ahead and just add some pink little splotches here. And I'm going to have this one go this way. All right, and let's see. I'm going to have these leaves coming up, so I want to have my roses coming up. So I'm going to put one like right here and one here. So there's one. And here's one. Okay, and then I'm going to have one come down over here. So, and again, I'm just doing the little cheater, like a stroke and a stroke. And then I'm going to do, I think, two over here. So, stroke there, and one here. And then I'm also going to do, I believe, two up here. So I'll do one here and one over here. All right, so we're going to let that dry, and then we'll do some shading. So I'll be back in just a minute. All right, I have my little pink rosebuds on the front here, and I thought I'd go ahead and add some to the sides. So what I have done is I've just taken a little bit of the pink paint and I've added a little bit of the red just so I get a little bit darker pink color, so it'll stand out from the pink background. And I'm just going to do the same thing where I am going to do just some little brush strokes here just to make our little roses. So it's just like some little brush strokes, easy peasy. And so I'm just going to do 2 on each side, and I'm kind of having them go in different directions. And you can make yours as big as you like. I'm just going to keep mine about that size. So I'm going to do a couple more and then I will be right back. All right, now I'm going to show you how to shade your little rosebuds to make them look more like a real rosebud. All right, so I have the lipstick red paint again, and I also have my flat brush still. And this time we're just going to put a little bit of paint on the corner of the brush, and we're using the red paint. And we're going to just kind of blend it in so that you get a lot of paint on one side and then just water at the other side. All right, and then what you're going to do is you're going to come into your little pink buds that you've made, and you're just going to make like a letter C. You can start on the chisel, follow around the bottom, and then lift. And then you're going to do the same thing, make another little C about halfway up. And that's going to give you a little rosebud shape. All right, so I'm just going to rinse my brush here real quick. Just want you to see. So you'll start out with your brush wet. So you can see that it's wet, and then you'll blot it. You'll put your corner, called the corner load of just the red paint. You'll mash down, blend your paint in with your water. And then you'll come to your piece, and you're just gonna start on the chisel, flatten, and lift, and then do another one about halfway down. And that's gonna give you your little rose shapes. All right, now we can do the exact same thing with a darker color green paint, which I will use, let's see, Old Ivy. And let me find my little green plate. Here we go. So I'll just add a little of this paint. There we go. It's a little bit darker. We'll use the same brush and the same technique, and this time we're going to just shade our leaves. So I've just kind of side loaded, and then you'll just do the same thing where you come and you do like a C stroke. Get a little more paint. There we go. And you'll just do your little C stroke. And these paints are kind of close in color, so it's very gradual effect. It's like not really even all that much noticeable, but it is there. So if you look a little closer, you can see it. And if you wanted it to be a little bit darker, you could add a little bit of burnt umber to your paint. So let me just show you that real quick, because you'll need burnt umber paint. And you can get it in the Folk Art brand. It'll be much cheaper. This is just a tube that I happen to already have around. So if you wanted to make your shading a little darker, you can just also dip that same corner into the burnt umber and then blend that on your brush. Add a little more green so you get like a nice mix. So that's a good dark mix there. And then come to your leaf and just do, this is like another way you can do it. You just kind of mash and pull around for your shading. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to be covering up with antiquing, so you're not going to really see it anyway. But for just demonstration purposes here, let me just show you what it looks like on the lighter color leaves. So if I were to start and then just kind of mash and do a C, you have your shading. And you can go back in if you like and just touch it up a little bit. So, and I am again underneath the lights, so I'm just getting more water, more paint, corner loading, blending, and then this was a really big leaf. I was just kind of goofing around, exaggerating, and then doing the shading. So you can make your shade as wide as you want by just kind of going over the same area. And if you wanted, you could purchase a mop brush, which is just a soft bristle brush. Sorry about that. And you kind of tap it on there, and it makes it look all nice and shaded. So if you like to do some quick painting, which I like to do a lot of just quick stuff, it's a good thing to have. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start to shade all my flowers and my leaves, and then I will be right back. Okay, I did the shading on the roses, so I just wanted you to be able to see that. And I wanted to show you a quick little tip. When you're shading your leaves in your groups of 3, if you decide to, but really, since we do the antiquing, you really don't have to. You won't really miss it. And somebody else that doesn't know like what mine looked like is not going to know that you've not done something. So whenever we're going to shade our little groups of 3, it's better to start with the one farthest or like actually closest to you, because that way you don't worry about putting your brush in wet paint and moving it. So in our little clumps of 3, I'm going to do this one here first. And then I'm going to do this one. And then I'll do this one last. And so that way you're not, like if you do this one, they're all kind of far enough away, but if you had a bigger brush, your brush would end up hitting that and it would mess it up. So it's just a good thought process when you're going through and thinking, okay, I'm going to shade this one. I don't have to worry about, you know, hitting my other leaves. And it's just a good thing to think about, because sometimes your leaves are so close together that you don't want to end up running into another one on accident. All right, so there's that. And I'm going to go ahead now and use the same green and just make a couple leaves on the side here. So I'm going to use the same green that we used originally, which was the, I just think it was the classic green. Let's see. Yep, classic green. So I'm going to go ahead. I've added a little brush or a little water to my brush here. And we're just going to do some more of the leaves. And I'm going to add a little group of 3 right here. So 1, 2, 3. And I'm trying to think of where else I want to put some. I think I'll throw some in here as well. So a little group of 3, 1, 2, and 3. And then I think I'm just going to throw one in right up here. And so I'm just going to do the same kind of thing throughout the whole piece here. And it doesn't have to be the same on every side. So maybe I'll just do 1 here and do 3 this way. Redo that one there. There we go. And then get some more paint and just do 1 right there. So you can do each side different, however you like, but go ahead and add some leaves to the rest of your sides. All right, I'll be right back. All right, I thought I'd show you how to add a little greenery to our rose buds here. I have a script brush here, and this is also part of the Donna Dewberry set, and it's a very long bristle brush. I've got quite a bit of water in it, and I am using the ivory paint, the old ivory, which is the darker the greens, and I'm just going to get a whole bunch of paint, and I just like to have lots of water, get lots of paint, and I just kind of twist my paint bristles in the paint to load it. So I have lots of paint in my brush, which you can see here. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and use this little sheet here. just to show you, we have our rosebud here. All you're going to do is take your brush, kind of mash it, and then lift and squiggle. So mash, lift and squiggle. And then you can draw a little line for your stem. And then you just add a little bit of paint there to close off the bottom. So I will do another one, get some more paint over here on my brush. I like to have lots of paint in my brush when doing this. So I'm just gonna simply kind of mash, lift and squiggle, mash, lift and squiggle, and get a little more paint. And I'm gonna make a stem, and then I'm just gonna kind of blot my brush. Very simple like that. All right, and I am using the darker color paint for that. So I'll go ahead and do one on my actual canvas piece here. So I'm just gonna mush and then squiggle, and then mush and squiggle. I'm gonna get a little more paint, and I'm just gonna have this come from like right here, and then just put a little line of paint there. So I'll go ahead and do the rest. I've already done one on the top. I'll go ahead and do one more here. So it's nice because this brush is already long. Just getting a little bit of water and paint. Just gonna mush, lift and squiggle, and have a stem, and then close it off. And actually, I might make that a little bit bigger here. There we go. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and practice and add yours to your roses, and then we will add some more vines for the leaves. Okay, I've gone ahead and just added some little vines in with the classic green, which is the medium shade that we have by Folk Art. I'm using the same liner brush, a lot of water, and I am just making some easy little leaves or vines here. So I'm just gonna go in, just kind of make them curl from here and there. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. And then if you like, you can actually add just a couple little squiggle lines. So let me grab some more. And you do want to have like a lot of paint and a lot of water in your brush. So you want your paint to be like an inky consistency. So just roll my brush there. See if I can do this, but on camera it's kind of hard because I can't move around as good. But just kind of add some little squigglies in here, and you can just fix that there. Maybe add another one here. And when you're doing your little squiggly lines like this, like I said, you want to have lots of water and paint in your brush, but instead of painting and curling your wrist, you're going to want to paint like with your elbow. So have your elbow move, and it'll make it much easier for you to do the curly cues. Instead of just moving your wrist in a circle, just let your elbow move in a circle. So I'm just going to add some more greenery here and just kind of have this come in and do the same like that. And then just add some greenery. So just some easy little vine work, nothing fancy, because it's all going to be covered up anyway. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that to the rest of my piece, and I'm going to add some to the front too. So I guess I'll just do that real quick. Let's see, I could have one come over here, and I'll do one up here. So you just kind of add them wherever you like. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to let it dry, and I'm going to add another layer of the Mod Podge. So that's what you'll want to do next, and let it dry after you paint your vines. All right, my Mod Podge has dried, and I went ahead and I antiqued one side just so you can see the difference in the color. Gives it a nice old look. All right, and here is the front. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do this real quick. You're going to take your large brush, and you want to have a lot of water in it, which I already have like a bunch already here. And you're just going to add a lot of water to your burnt umber paint, and then you're just going to take it and add your paint to your piece. And you can let it sit on there for a little while, but the longer it sits on, the harder it is to take off. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a little more. Just kind of put it all over. And now I'm going to take a really quick little picture because I'm also doing a stepped out tutorial on this as well as the video. So I'm just going to do that real quick. There we go. And then I'm going to let this dry just a little bit. And you'll want to have a paper towel ready. And if it's way too dark, you can use a wet paper towel, and that will remove most of your color. So you'll see I kind of have a wet paper towel right now, and I'm just kind of dabbing it on because I want you to see, or dabbing off the color. So kind of just going to move it around a little bit. You can see how it moves throughout the piece. And if you really want your picture to show up more, you just rub more in that area. You see how it kind of takes the paint off. So you can just kind of rub that off and then leave it on your edges. And it doesn't really matter too much what the edges look like because we're going to be adding glitter. So I thought I'd go ahead and just do one side here for you. So you can see, just gonna throw some paint on. Use my paper towel to kind of dab it and rub it around. You'll see how it's not as dark here, and that's because I'm using a wet paper towel. So I really need to go and get another dry one. I kind of ran out because I was goofing around. So I'll go ahead and do this again and see if I can find a dry spot here, or a drier spot. I don't know. I think it's just gonna lift everything up again. Let's see. Well, the thing is, you can always add another coat. So I'm going to leave it like that. It looks about the same, and I'm happy with that. And then I can come back to the front. Now, look, I was going to notice, I notice here, like the paint will lift. So you want to let your paint dry before you come back in with a dry paper towel. Otherwise, you'll pretty much just take everything right back off. So if you don't like it, that's what you do. See how easy that is? So it's kind of nice to have the Mod Podge on there because it's very forgiving with your piece. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do this again, and then I'll be right back to add the embellishments. All right, I am back, and I just wanted to show you that I added a couple of puddles of glue with my Designer Dries clear glue from Art Glitter with my fine tip applicator, and I have also added some glue around the edges. I'm going to just take a yucky brush now and kind of mash my glue around on the edges. Doesn't really matter, doesn't have to be fancy. You just want it to kind of look not like a straight line. So kind of mash it around, just make it look different. Oh, I have a visitor. No, kitty, kitty. So I'm going to have to stop this here for a moment. All right. And you'll notice that I have the little piles of glue, and they are for my seed beads, which I am adding here. And just little groups of 3. So I'm going to have 3 up here, and then I'm going to have 3 down here. And then I'm going to put my button here on the mother tag, and then I'll just add a little bit more glue to the center, and I'll drop a couple seed beads in there as well. And these are just little glass seed beads. So I'm going to go ahead and add these over here. There we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and add some glitter to my piece. So I'm going to use this piece of paper just to catch my excess glitter. And I'm going to use number 313 from Art Glitter, and it's called Bayou, however you pronounce it, but there you go. It's a really pretty a lot of different colors. Just get this little tap. And same with this here. Get a little tap. And just turn in my piece. And go. And now I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'll be able to brush off the excess. But that is the finished piece. I hope you enjoyed my canvas tutorial. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email at heatherahudson@gmail.com. And this glue, it's nice because it dries clear. And so that's why I'm using it, because once this dries, you won't be able to see the glue. All right, have a great day, and I hope that you have a great Mother's Day. And if you do end up creating this canvas, I would love to see a picture of it. I would probably even feature it on my blog. Thanks. Bye.